Howdy folks, it's me, Bob in N, and welcome back to... And the last time we saw this railway, it was not a success. I went in with a temporary bridge and no idea of how to use FlexTrack. Since then, things have changed. Model Rail Scotland has passed, and I am ready to approach this again, having learned some lessons and spent some money. So, what have I spent money on? Well, first off is a couple of new tools. During last episode I found it difficult to keep the FlexTrack from staying in the track joiner, or fish plate. Found the pre-soldered fish plates to be unreliable, in part because of this. So the first tool is this small soldering iron for attaching such electrical elements together. A caliper will also be needed for precision when laying the track. There's also a pin punch and wire stripper in the mix to help with obvious jobs. The last couple of things I bought were at Model Rail Scotland, the first being this, a Farish Class 159. It's in its Southeast Trains livery at the minute, but it's my eventual hope to do like the Pacer and get this changed into something more northern. In the meantime, cool at least. The other thing I purchased was... the CD player, the camera phone, first generation Nissan L Grand. These were all things that were great inventions from Japan, and my new bridge is no different. I spotted this piece of Kato Unitrack at Model Rail Scotland and it was a real miracle find. Twin tracks ready set in a good looking and strong bridge that looked as though it might just be long enough to cover the gap. This was using measurements from the Mark I eyeball, so I thought I'd better get two smaller pieces just in case. This, however, wasn't needed, as when I got it home and placed it down, I found it was exactly the size it needed to be, with a little overhang on the sides. One small modification has to take place, however. The cork I'm using for the underlay is 1.5mm thick, and this bridge is quite a bit thicker than that, so we need to cut a notch in the foam to get it sat at the correct height for trains to run over it seamlessly. This is easy enough as foam is very soft, so we just need to use the calipers to measure out the amount of overhang on each side and park that on the foam, then find the depth of the bridge from under the brace to the sleepers, take away 1.5mm from that, mark our new figure on the foam. This gives us an amount of foam we don't need for the notch, so we can cut it away. With the bridge in place, we can get back to having a proper go at... Oh, Pico FlexiTrack. No idea had I of the suffering you would cause me. Of course, this wasn't entirely the fault of the track. I was rushing for time for the show and hadn't even imagined, let alone prepared for the problems I would face and the poor quality of the end product I would make. However, now I am armed with tutorials, a drill, a soldering iron and pure determination. First start by placing down the cork underlay so we know it's a uniform thickness. With that dry, we can lay down our set track to create anchor points for the flex, using the bridge and the track as a plan of where it should all go. Now for the flex track, and I'm going to attempt to stay sane for the duration. First I'm going to pre-drill holes at regular intervals in the track so it can be pinned in place. Then I'm attaching fish plates to the already secure track so the flex has something to attach to. These fish plates are also getting soldered in place. So, attach the track, pin it into place at the first sleeper, solder the fish plate, bend it to the next anchor point, cut the track at the appropriate point, attach it to the waiting fish plates, solder it in place. Easy, right? Now I only need to do it 7 more times. Luckily for you lot, you only had to watch me do it once and can skip straight to when it's all done. It's all done! Well, not quite. This truck was gravity run, but it shows how nice and smooth the inclines are. Now, time to get some actual trains round it, and that means it's time for... Last episode we were introduced to my big boy duet controller and the pre-soldered fish plate, and in this episode once again we have the enviable job of hooking it all up. These fish plates, however, were getting a bit old, so in the interest of making this more permanent, I've splashed out and bought some new ones. While you weren't looking, I went behind your back and added the new fish plates in, soldered them in place to make a permanent fixture on the new railway. Now all we need to do is connect it to a controller, turn it on, and pray. Well, nothing's on fire, so that's a good sign. Let's get a loco on. This is my Class 37. It's my most reliable engine, and it has been with me from the start, been the first loco round an awful lot of my attempts at layouts. This will be a good test to see if there's any problems at all. We've encountered a small problem. One of the track joins isn't very straight and managed to knock the wheels off very slightly. This means is that my loco runs round the rest of the layout absolutely fine, then derails itself as soon as it gets to the point. My solution to this is crude, but better than nothing. I'm going to fill the gap with solder and file it down till it's smooth, and the engine will pass it no problem. Hey, if it's stupid and it works, then it's not stupid. This is fantastic. The track is laid, reliable, permanent, and interesting, and it's so good to have a track finally laid back down and somewhere to run my locos. And there you have it. Like the video if you liked it, comment if you have anything to say, subscribe if you want to see more, click the bell if you want your phone to ping, and I'll see you all next time.